Good morning, friends. Julie Gualandri here with the Julie G Homes Group at Austin Portfolio Real Estate. Happy New Year. I know I'm a few days delayed, but man, the holidays were busy and gosh, so was my business. So we had to kind of get everything kicked off that we needed to this week. So I'm coming to you on Friday with my report for the last month of 2023. Bye-bye 2023. I think we're all kind of glad to have turned the page on that year. In terms of real estate, it was certainly a year of continued shift in the market. And we can thank the Federal Reserve because they've been busy trying to tamp down inflation and using interest rates, which our business is tied to, not directly. Mortgage rates are not directly tied to what the Fed does, but it does have a big impact. So here we are. Rates are still, in the 6% range, having come down from over 7%. So thankfully, that's a good sign. And it does also look like the Federal Reserve isn't really looking at raising rates any further. The big discussion is over when do they start cutting them. And when they start cutting them, then you'll see rates come down more. And we get economic indicators almost every week of the month, something comes out. And I think the things that are still troubling the Fed are that there's still too many people with jobs. They're actually looking for the unemployment rate to go a little bit higher so that people stop spending. They're trying to, that's another thing. We're kind of continuing to spend and be in debt our way into kind of that inflationary environment. It's way down from where it was, so that's the good news. So what does all that mean for real estate? That affects the demand side of real estate. So if you think about a giant fence, I've talked about this before, there are lots of people who want to buy a home, but they either can't because rates have gone up too high and it's made it unaffordable, or there's another camp that's waiting for a crash, and I'll discuss why that's not something you should be waiting for in a minute when we talk about supply. Or you just have people that are waiting for the rate to be much lower so that they can feel good about divesting themselves of a home that maybe they have a mortgage in the 2, 3, or 4% range. So that's kind of the buyer side of things. And as soon as rates, can debate that all day long. If they can get below 6, it is my opinion that buyer activity will increase significantly. People will be like, okay, I'm ready. I have acclimated to the new interest rate environment. 5% is reasonable, or 5.5, or 5.75, or 6, whatever the number is. As soon as people have emotionally adjusted and can financially afford that rate, then they'll be back in the market. Because everybody wants to buy. I mean, real estate, I don't know. It's my opinion that everyone, if you can be a homeowner, you want to be a homeowner. So that's awesome. So let's talk about the supply side. That's where we have some challenges this year. So before the pandemic, we were looking, in Austin specifically, we were in an undersupplied market for sure. There were way more people coming and more people, there was an accelerant to that. The pandemic was an accelerant to that situation. So we had more people coming, wanting to buy homes, the market jumped, and then we had all the things that happened with interest rates, which created more inventory, but certainly not an oversupplied market. We never got anywhere near that 6.5 months of inventory that we like to talk about as being a balanced market. We maybe got into the 4-month range, which I would say is sort of normal for Austin, but definitely not oversupplied. So prices came down a little bit as people took longer to make a decision. And now we are facing, I think, a supply shortage this year. And that's going to also be dependent on where you're looking. So the farther out from central Austin you are looking, where there are green fields and pastures still, where the buffalo roam and the deer and the antelope play, you can assume that there's probably a developer out there trying to plat a subdivision. But that development cycle can be 4 to 5 years. And then you got closer in, you've got builders already on the ground, offering incentives, offering interest rate buy downs, which is super great for buyers. So that's going to be on the periphery of our market. So I always talk about Austin as being like a giant circular target. In the middle is going to be downtown Austin. Any new construction in there is going to be because they knocked something down and rebuilt something else, which that's not, that's extra cost to a builder that's doing that, or a homeowner that's choosing to buy a tear down, as they call it. And then as you get further out, there's greenfield ready to develop, or available to develop. So, this year, my concern is that we're going to have enough listings to help the buyers who haven't been able to buy over the last few years, and to encourage sellers. Mostly the sellers we have are sellers who are leaving Austin, because if you want to stay in Austin and make a change, either a bigger house or smaller house, you'll be selling and getting rid of a fairly cheap mortgage, and you're going to be taking on a more expensive mortgage. So there's a lot of people that have hit the pause button on that. And like I said, they're waiting for the rates to come into what they think is an acceptable level. And I say that intentionally. It's all about the psychology of this. We were used to artificially low rates because economic decisions by our government, precipitated this long period of very low rates. Like the Fed had their rate at 0. So we were having 2 and 3% interest rates for a protracted period of time. So everybody got used to it. So now we have to get used to this different environment, and it'll happen. But anyway, those are my thoughts for today. I've got listings, I've got buyers. I'm ready to help anyone who needs help. I'm versed in the market, of course, and just ready to help you. So, and I also have some things cooking to help those of you who may not be ready to sell, but definitely want to change. So I'm going to tease you with that, and I will have more details, and we'll roll it out next month. All right, take care. Have a great one. And of course, I'm always here for your questions.